Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy, and welcome to the show. So if you heard me talk last week, I was in beautiful Sarasota. And after my trip to Sarasota, I got to go visit my mother-in-law and family in the Boynton Beach, West Palm Beach area. And I could not do the trip without a visit to the Lion Country Safari. I had never been before. I had a friend who took her son and she loved it. And my daughter's 22 months old. And I thought, what a great way to spend the morning. So we went to Lion Country Safari, had a great time. And I'm thrilled to have with me Haley Possessor. She is the PR associate for Lion Country Safari. Hi, Haley.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm wonderful, and I'm so glad to hear that you had such a good time at the park.
We did. We had a phenomenal time. And, you know, it's funny, when I first told my mother-in-law that we were going to go, she says, oh, you know, will she sit in the car the whole time for the safari? And I said, oh, I think there's so much more to do there than just the drive-through safari. And there was. And I'm curious, was that always part of the park, or was that a recent addition?
So certain parts of the park have been there, of course, a little bit longer than others. The drive-through safari has, of course, been there since the beginning, and then portions of the walkthrough were developed shortly after. And then we also did have an expansion to the walkthrough several years ago that included areas like the water park, and then it included the giraffe feeding habitat. So, you know, we've always been, as time goes on, expanding, adding new things, and, you know, really making sure that the park has plenty of options for people to come and have fun with their families.
Right. Yeah. And when I mentioned to my dad that we went, he says, oh, I remember going to Lion Country Safari in the 1970s. So how long has the park been open for?
So we did open in 1967. So we're coming up on our 52nd anniversary or birthday, whichever you prefer.
Nice.
Again, so, you know, we've been open for quite a while. We actually were the first drive-through safari in the United States too.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. And so you mentioned the giraffe area where you could feed the giraffes, and we had such a great time there. We watched as a giraffe painted, and tell me a little bit about that, because I know that that's a program that goes towards something as well.
Yes, so we have quite a few programs that help to kind of contribute to conservation initiatives, and they're kind of twofold as well, because it's a great learning opportunity for our guests as well. So there's a lot to talk about with really any animal. We can talk about a lot. But the giraffe painting encounters, it originally started as part of our enrichment program for our giraffes. We're always making sure that our animals are happy, healthy, have things to mentally stimulate them, physically stimulate them. So some of our giraffes were initially just trained to paint just as part of that program. And we thought, you know what would be cool if guests got to experience this. So we kind of worked that into, you know, a private experience, or, you know, an out-of-the-box kind of experience. And then half of those proceeds go directly to support wild giraffe conservation. So we're kind of completing a lot of our objectives by offering things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's nice that the guests know what's going on as well, because I heard a couple next to me, they were deciding whether to get the painting. And then when they heard where it was going towards, they said, oh, absolutely. So I think it's wonderful that you have both of those things going on. So tell me a little bit more about the park's animals and what we could expect to find.
Sure. So we have over 1,000 animals that we care for, representing 90 different species from 6 of the 7 continents. So we have quite a variety of animals. Of course, we've got birds, we've got lots of mammals, we have reptiles, we even have fish on property. So we have these really nice large herds of animals, and that's one of the things that we take very, close to heart, is that these animals are social animals, so we want to have them in those social groups. So you're going to find these large herds of animals. We have the largest herd of zebra in North America. We have one of the largest herds of giraffe, one of the largest herds of rhinos. So you're going to find these really large natural herds of animals that we care for. And some of them are really, really, really big, like the giraffes and the rhinos. And then you're going to find some of the smaller species in the walkthrough. And there's just as much to learn and to know about them. And we're just kind of hoping that the guests that come to our park get to see and experience all of these animals. And it really sparks that curiosity and connects them to the animals.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say are the top family-friendly activities to do at the park? Because we had a great time going through the splash pad, and I felt badly that I didn't bring my daughter's bathing suit, but we just took off her shirt and pants and let her run around, and she had the best time. You have a little amusement park area there. I mean, there's just something for all facets of what kids love to do.
There really is. There really is something for everyone to do, and some people, tend to get the most out of the drive-through, especially when you get those special encounters with like the ostriches pecking on your windows. Those are some people's highlights, but some of the walk-through highlights are great too, especially for families like the giraffe feeding or the lorikeet aviary or the petting zoo, where you can kind of get a little bit more up close and personal, get, kind of hands-on, which is a great way to connect and make those memories. And definitely the water play area is a great way, for families to come and cool off on safari. We're in South Florida, so it's hot.
Yeah.
But people have an absolute blast, and the kids love it. So that's definitely one of our top activities. And then, of course, the rides, too.
Yeah. I mean, and my daughter loved that she could just keep going on the rides over and over and over again.
Go around and around and around in the carousel.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, wait, first the horse, now the lion. And it was terrific. And then I see you're building a whole new structure for kids opening in a few months.
That's correct. We are very, very excited about the new water park attraction that's coming. So we do currently have the current splash area, which is about 4,000 square feet, plus the two other sort of elements of our water park, which has the water slides and the water wars. So this new addition is going to be over 10,000 square feet. We can accommodate up to 300 guests there alone. It will be set in kind of like a wading pool with a zero depth entry, so it'll accommodate guests, all of all heights basically, or
right.
If anyone is in like a water wheelchair, they're more, they're able to kind of take that into account. And there's going to be a lot of different features to it. More, we have a giant zebra stripe dump bucket that's going to be with it. It's going to dump gallons of water onto this roof and it'll spray all around. More water slides, more water cannons. It's going to be really exciting, and it's going to be a really great addition to our water park, and we really cannot wait for it to open so that we can share this with everyone.
Yeah, it looks absolutely amazing. So tell me a little bit about the safari itself. When people are going through it, how long does the whole thing take?
So the safari itself is about 4 miles, and generally we ask guests to kind of block about an hour and a half to 2 hours for the safari. It's really going to depend on how many times you want to stop and take pictures, or even if you just want to pull over and just watch the animals for a while, because they're always doing something different. And every trip through the safari is a little bit different. We always tell guests, hey, just take this bypass. You can go through again, anytime before the park closes. And you might see something completely different the next time you go through. So it does take about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but there's always time to see. And you can always, go at your own pace while you're in there.
Right, which is nice. I like the idea of being able to take your time and go through and stop. And we actually didn't do the drive-through, which I wish we had. But, my daughter's 22 months and she has a very limited attention. How many hours we could spend at a park before it's nap time. So I'm looking forward to doing that on the next trip. Is there anything that people have to worry about? I know sometimes people say, I worry about the animals in my car. Is that a concern at all?
We really don't have concern. We always ask guests to, always go the speed limit. Our recommended speed limit for the safari is 8 miles per hour maximum, just to kind of make sure that they're, not making other guests feel like, they have to move faster. And then, of course, we're always being safe around the animals. And then we also do ask the guests to just kind of consider that the animals have the right of way. So that way, when they do want to cross the road, they can do that. And, everybody kind of works in traffic around each other. So we really don't have any issues with the animals. Now, you might get an ostrich that comes up to just kind of check out your window. There's videos all over. Even I was just out there today, and an ostrich will come up and just kind of peck on your window glass. And honestly, it's an absolute blast.
Awesome.
They're so funny. But just be respectful of the animal space and that this is their home. And then, all things will be smooth sailing.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. I look forward to going back and checking out this drive-through safari. And I have to say your cafe is pretty great because normally you go to these amusement parks and it's a pretty limited menu. You have your typical French fries and burgers and whatever, and you have all that. But then you also have acai bowls and fresh fruit. And so I really appreciated that. That was great.
That's definitely one of the things we've been working towards, because you can always get your pizza and your hot dogs and things, but and kind of in this age, having those healthy options is really important to families. With all the research that's out there, and just some people just want to have those more whole foods in their diet. So having those acai balls, fresh salads, even this sandwich bar, you can get a fresh sandwich made. It's nice to have those options for families.
Yeah, absolutely. So where can people go for more information on the Lion Country Safari?
So they're more than welcome to visit our website at lioncountrysafari.com, or even call our main office, 561-793-1084. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that any potential guests have, or do whatever we can to accommodate so that they can have a nice visit out here.
Great. Thank you so much, Haley Possessor. Thank you for joining me today on this show. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. And again, I had such a great time at Lion Country Safari. Definitely check it out. If you're headed to the West Palm Beach area or anywhere within an hour, I would say definitely check out Lion Country Safari. I'm Michelle Jerson. More coming up in a few.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson. Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Even though I was in South Florida last week and was thinking, wow, what beautiful weather. I wish it was like this all year round in New York. It's not. And with that comes germs, lots of germs, and the flu, and all other types of colds and coughs that our little ones bring home. Well, what happens when you're the one that comes down with the flu or gets sick and you still have to take care of your little one? So with me, I have good friend and comic, Marshall Stevenson. He's been on the show a number of times. And now, Marshall, you have the flu.
That's right. And it's because I went to some event this weekend with a lot of kids, and their noses were all dripping, and now I'm in bed.
I'm sorry to hear that. My daughter has had a runny nose, I think, this entire winter. And we just flew home from Florida. And it's funny, on the way there, she was coughing a lot. And the person next to me said something. And then on the way back, and then she was fine our whole time in Florida. And then we get back on the plane and literally coughing nonstop again. And the women around me commented, oh, she was so good, but oh, she coughed so much. And it just, I guess this is just what happens when little kids are around other little kids all winter long.
Yeah, and people one person gets the flu, and the next person gets it. I had a flu shot. Anyway, very frustrating. So what do? What do you do if you're the caretaker? And, my mother-in-law has a baby today, so that's great news. But not everybody has that luxury. Single parents, you got to just power through, right?
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I first gave birth to my daughter, I got really sick, and I was so worried. I was wearing a mask. I was like, I'm going to cough in her face, and she's so little, and I'm going to get her sick. But it's like, yeah, we just have to power through, and we can't... no longer are we the only ones that we need to take care of. So it's tough. It's really difficult.
So when she was breastfeeding, the doctor said to breastfeed, and that will prevent you from getting their cold and back and forth. Because it actually, you get the antibodies of some sort back and forth, and so that actually protects them. So one piece of advice is breastfeed.
Yes.
That's not available to. I can't do that. That's not enough for me.
No, that's true. But yeah, they were telling me that too. But then I'm thinking, okay, so they're nursing and they're getting the antibodies, but at the same time, they're so close to me and I'm coughing on her. So I don't know what's worse. So what are you doing for yourself?
Well, what am I doing for myself? Gatorade, Adult PM. Some daytime TV. It just stinks, but I'm falling farther behind in the things that I actually have to do. But we had the luxury of sending her to the mother-in-law. I don't know what I would do. Like, if you have to take care of the child, do you just alcohol everything? Do you not pick up the child? How do you handle it? I'm at a loss. I mean, this isn't something that other people don't go through. How do you deal with it?
I know. I mean, plenty of families, they pass around, the child comes home with it or the mother starts with whatever, and eventually it goes to everyone. And I think, you could walk around, you could wear a mask all day. I know I can't stand doing that. I tried doing it. You can do that, but I think you just have to live your life and then just hope for the best.
And the second part of it is not the transmission. It's also that it's hard to take care of a child that's 2 years old when you are well.
Right.
Never mind the sleep deficit, and now you have the flu, and you're are taking baby steps and running to the bathroom. And how do you do it? How do you do it? You say, today's going to be a TV day, kid.
Right. Yeah. I guess, you ramp up those Daniel Tiger and Sesame Street videos or whatever they're into, and that's what it's going to be.
I guess so. I mean, so there's a number of concerns. One, how do you make sure the kid, is it irresponsible to take care of the kid yourself? Maybe you should scramble and get daycare. Or is it okay to take care of the kid by yourself? You just protect yourself, wear a mask, as you said, and then just power through it. I mean, what's the responsible answer?
Yeah. I think it could be any of those. I think you could try to power through. Or if you do have a daycare option, maybe you have one of those places where they are, I think it's called like Mom's Day Out or something, or Dad's Day Out. And you could just drop your kid for the day. I know not every location has something like that, but you can do something like that. Or maybe find a babysitter. But it's tough because especially if it's the winter time, there's just so much that they can do, really. Marshall, I hope you feel better. I wish we had more time to chat, but I know you probably want to save your voice anyway.
So
that's it. So I hope you're doing better. I hope your little girl does not get the flu. But it's a real challenge. And I would love to hear from other parents. Feel free to email me, Michelle@PassportMommy.com. What do you do when your child has the flu, or when you have the flu, when you're sick and you have a little one at home that you have to take care of? I'm Michelle Jerson. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Drop me a line anytime. Would love to hear from you. More coming up in a few.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson. Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
If you heard the show last week, I was in beautiful Sarasota, Florida, which was such a nice getaway from freezing cold New York. I have been back in New York now for 2 days, wishing that I was back in South Florida. And so I figured, why not have John Haviaras on the line with me? He's the general manager of the Lido Beach Resort, which is one of the properties that I stayed at when I was down there. It was absolutely amazing. So John has worked for Ocean Properties since 1992. He's worked in Paradise Island, Bahamas, Orlando, Key Largo, and Key West. He's been at Lido Beach Resort since August of 2016, but he is from the Northeast. He attended Penn State. He was born and raised in Massachusetts, but now he lives down south and has 3 daughters and 1 son, 2 in college and 2 already graduated. Well, that alone, congratulations, John. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So tell me what it's been like as the general manager of the Lido Beach Resort.
Well, my wife and I are calling Sarasota instead of the West Coast, we're calling it the best coast. It's really been great here. Sarasota's a great city. It's not too big, it's not too small, not the congestion of a big city, but enough amenities that it makes it just a fun place to live and a fun place to visit, as you can attest to.
Yeah, absolutely. My husband was up for a job in Sarasota last year. And when I went back down this year, I'm sort of kicking myself that we didn't jump on that opportunity when it was offered. But you're absolutely right. There's so much to do in Sarasota, from the gorgeous beaches to the cultural attractions. Let's start with the beaches, because Lido Beach Resort is right on the beach.
Yeah, the great part about Lido and our resort is you're not walking across the street. You are steps away from the sand. I mean, the separation of rooms is you have to make your way through the tiki bar and the pool, the adult pool or the children's pool, and then you're on sand. And that's a great part about our resort. It's right there, right on the beach, and you get the sunsets. You have everything. The kids can play, and you don't have to worry about them crossing the street. It's right there.
Yeah, exactly. And crossing that tiki bar and the pool is not a bad stop either along the way to the beach. So I think the setup is quite perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, we love it, and it's great to have an adult pool and a children's pool too. So, adults have their privacy if they want, and obviously, the kids go out and they have a great time, and they have their own pool where they can do their cannonballs and everything. But at the end of the day, I think they're happiest when they're on the beach and on the water, and it's quite a great stretch of beach there.
Yeah, I agree. I know my daughter, who's only 22 months, she's beach, pool. That's all she said our whole trip. And
that is so cute. That's adorable.
Yeah, it was terrific. She loved it. And I agree with you as far as having the two pools. I think that's wonderful because as parents, we don't have to worry that we're disturbing anybody who's there for a nice getaway, because I know as somebody who was not with kids not too long ago, you appreciate those resorts that are either kid-free or have a kids-only section. So I think the fact that you have the best of both worlds really caters to everyone.
It does work. It works great for us, and you have an area where you can eat lunch out there, and the tiki bar with all its tropical drinks. I think it has. We have a great mixture. We can be a family hotel. We can be an adults only. We can be a romance hotel. We can be a honeymoon destination, and believe it or not, we do a lot of corporate stuff too. We have companies come down here and they have their meetings. The corporate meetings in Florida are probably a lot different than the corporate meetings up north. They start promptly at 9 a.m. and they end at noon, and then they're off to the golf course or the beach or in our case here, St. Armand Circle, which is another great part of this area.
Yeah, I will say I enjoyed walking around St. Armand's Circle, and it was great when my daughter was due for her nap and I didn't have to necessarily sit in the room. I put her in the stroller and I went for a really nice walk, and you can spend a few hours in that area.
Yeah, there's so much in St. Armand's, and one of the reasons why we have so many repeat guests is because even if the weather isn't cooperating and it's rainy or it might be a little too chilly for some, you just hop on our shuttle that'll take you right to the circle, or you can take a nice walk over, as you said, in the stroller. And then you have a bazillion restaurants, shops to cater to all kinds of. It doesn't matter whatever kind of shopping or window shopping you want to do, they have it, and the food there is everything from Italian to Cuban, Mediterranean, shores, Tommy Bahama. They're just great restaurants there.
Yeah. I did eat at Europa Cafe. Well, I actually took it to go because I figured I was with my little one and it might be a little more pleasant for everybody involved if we took the food to go, but I still wanted to try it, and it was delicious.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I also liked all the little ice cream shops and the ice pop shops, and there was a place called Green Zebra Cafe, which I really enjoyed for those who like to eat healthy. So a lot going on. I hate
the ice cream shop.
Do you?
I can't stay away from it. It calls me, and I try to stay away from it, and it's just too good. The homemade chocolates and homemade ice cream. It's just to die for at Kilwin's there.
I know. But you know what? A place like that is really great in that area because it reminds me of just that typical thing that you see when you go to a beach area or you get away. You have to have that homemade ice cream and fudge shop. And
it's just, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I love about the Lido Beach Resort and Sarasota in general, in that it's still within the U.S. It's so easy to get to. I mean, especially from New York, it was only a little over a 2-hour flight. And yet you could be what feels like the Caribbean or anywhere else far away without actually leaving the States.
That's great. Did you come in from right to Sarasota?
I did, yes.
Yeah, Sarasota is a great airport. It's easy to get in and out of.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to go through that airport. It's not a busy airport, and that's not a bad thing either. Just for access in and out, and we're 8.4 miles from the airport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Sarasota because it seemed like nothing was more than 20 minutes away. If I wanted to get in my car, I did have to go back to the rental car place. I went to one in Siesta Key, not far from the resort at all. Like you said, the airport's not far, and the airport was such a pleasure, especially coming from New York.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, and I like the fish tank that you see when you first come out as you head towards baggage claim. That was another thing that my daughter loved.
And that fish tank is donated by Moat Aquarium, which is another great place to visit when you come to Sarasota. And the next time you come, you have to go to the aquarium. It's really there's scientists there, and they're working really hard on marine life and preserving the turtles, and it's really something to see. And your daughter's going to get older; she's going to want to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I had one day left, and I ended up taking her to the Jungle Gardens, which she had a blast at. But it was between that and the aquarium. So next trip, definitely the aquarium.
That sounds good. How did you like your room?
I loved it. Are you kidding? It was great. I loved that there was a kitchen there, and that, the balcony was beautiful, a great view, incredible view, but you really make it very easy for families to travel to the resort, especially with that kitchen, because if you want to bring food back, you don't want to eat out every meal. It's very nice.
Right. All our rooms have kitchens, and it's designed for exactly that. You can bring your takeout back. If you want to eat in, you can cook in your room if you want. Sometimes you just say, okay, let's just stay in today, and you have everything you need. The rooms are really designed for longer term stays, not the 1 or 2 nighters, but a greater length of stay, and as a beach hotel, I'm sure you noticed there's no carpets.
Right. That I did notice that, and I really like that. And I thought to myself, this room is really modern, more modern than my apartment back home, more modern than a lot of places I've been house hunting looks, and it was very nice and a very nice look and feel.
Yeah, it's really a beach motif, and the kids have they have their sunblock and their oils and their lotions and the sand, and we just learned after a while. We said, you don't want to have carpet in a guest room,
right?
It's more sanitary, and it feels better. Just go in and clean the floor and mop it up, and it's clean, and it's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's smart, and it looks nice, and I liked all the appliances were stainless steel. I mean, you could tell you didn't spare anything.
We wanted to make it fun and inviting, and we use neutral colors with a real beach theme and splashes of blue, as our designer Michelle said. She's just amazing. She thinks of everything.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. And another thing I have to say we really enjoyed, my daughter loved your Sunday brunch. It was phenomenal. And your wait staff was extremely friendly and happened to take a liking to my daughter. And when my daughter was yelling for pasta the whole time during dinner until her pasta came, they sat with her. And it was, they were wonderful with her.
Biscotti.
Yeah, exactly. But just getting back to your brunch, it's pretty well known.
It is. We're known for having the best brunch in Sarasota. And I hate to brag, but it is spectacular. Our chefs start working on it 2 days before, and we have everything from, seafood, carved meats, all the breakfast amenities, desserts to, well, that's another thing I try to stay away from, the desserts. They're just, but yes, we try to make it really spectacular with ice sculptures and everything we can to entice the palate and the senses, and I think they do a really great job of that.
Yeah, they do. And I have to say that I've been really diligent with keeping my daughter away from sweets and carbs. And she had her first waffle at your brunch and would not stop eating that waffle. So, yes, it was quite a variety, and it was so good. And I hope that we could come down and visit again soon. For those who are looking to visit Sarasota and looking at the Lido Beach Resort, where can they go for more information?
Visit Sarasota you can go online to visit Sarasota. Certainly you can call the hotel here at any time, and, we're standing by. We're ready to serve our guests. It's really going to be a great season this year. Obviously, the Chamber of Commerce is another avenue you can use, but or just go online. We're part of the Opal Collection, and opalcollection.com. We have quite a few hotels in the area, and hotels everywhere from the Northeast all the way down to I think we have 8 hotels in Florida. Clearwater, Sarasota, Key West. We're ready for our guests, especially this time of year.
Absolutely. And we're ready to come down. I guarantee you everyone from the Northeast is ready to come down. But, even if you go down during the summertime, it's still just such a wonderful getaway. And I have to thank you again, John Haviaras, General Manager of the Lido Beach Resort. Thanks for having myself and my daughter to your property.
Oh,
and
it was our pleasure. I hope she loved her turtle, her stuffed turtle.
My God, she loved it. I was going to bring that up. She absolutely loves it. And it's here. It is bigger than our whole apartment, and she loves it.
Yeah, that's one of the things we try to do for the kids. We leave a stuffed turtle in their room to take back with them.
That is so nice. It was such a nice amenity, and it put a smile on both of our faces immediately. Thank you so much, John.
That's great.
Yes. Again, check out Lido Beach Resort. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. More coming up in a few.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson. Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson is a show about the journey of motherhood. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
And I really enjoy talking to people when it comes to the health of a baby, because it is such a precious time in a parent's lives, and there's so much that is going on when the baby is a fetus, and there's so much that we have to think about and worry about. And for that, I wanted to have on the show with me today Matthew GIllespie. He is the attending cardiologist in the Cardiac Center at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and he is an expertise in interventional cardiology and transcatheter treatment of heart disease. Thank you so much, Dr. GIllespie, for joining me today.
It's my pleasure, Michelle.
So I was reading that 1 in 120 babies are born with heart disease each year in the U.S. That's 40,000 babies every year.
That's exactly right. It's the most common form of congenital disease that we encounter in pediatrics.
Incredible, even more so than cancer. So tell me a little bit about congenital heart disease and when a child or a fetus would be diagnosed with this.
So, the development of the fetus, development of the heart, I think is a miracle, right? It's really amazing what our hearts do sort of quietly in the background. And the formation of the heart is a very complicated process that plays out over fetal life. And throughout that process, there are things that can go wrong where you can end up with what we call congenital heart disease. And it can be very simple things, like you can have a simple hole in between two chambers in the heart, which is relatively simple, or you can have a really critical heart disease, which we see in about 25% of the patients who are born, in that you can have extreme forms of heart disease where you're born without one of the chambers of your heart, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember with my first pregnancy, I was told that the baby had the hole, but then it closed up closer to when I was giving birth. So that was a big relief. But how can we treat heart defects if this is not the case for many women?
Well, it depends on the significance of the disease. So, for example, as in your case, there are some heart conditions that babies can be identified in utero, or they can be born with, that sort of take care of themselves with time and with growth. So there are holes that you can have in your heart that close. Then there are others that require us to provide medicines, and then in the extreme, there are those that require surgery. And over the last, 20 to 30 years, there's been the advent of cardiac catheterization and interventional tools which allow us to do a lot of procedures in a less invasive way on babies and adults alike.
So what exactly is the interventional catheterization, and when is it appropriate?
So cardiac catheterization, if you've ever heard of anybody older in your family having a stent put into their coronary arteries because they had a heart attack, well, that's a cardiac catheterization procedure. And we can do the same thing in infants and children, and it basically allows us to get access to the heart tissue and into the blood vessels just by using small needles to go through the skin, usually in the groin, and into the blood vessels, which allow us to move our tools up to and into the heart and work on the heart without having to open up the chest and put the patients onto a bypass machine.
Which is huge, especially such a young baby. I mean, obviously, any type of surgery we worry about as parents and as anyone. What is the expected long-term outcome for babies who undergo this cardiac intervention?
Well, it depends on what we're doing, but by and large, the trend over the last couple decades has been very positive. So babies who were born 20 or 30 years ago with some conditions, if they were universally lethal within the first year of life. But now, with the advent of surgical techniques and cardiac catheterization techniques, most of our patients are living well into adulthood. In fact, most of the patients with congenital heart disease now are actually adults, which is a testament to sort of the forward march of technology in this area.
Absolutely. So interesting and so nice to hear, and glad to know that the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia has this program and does this treatment. Where can listeners go to find more information?
Well, for more information about Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and the Cardiac Center here at CHOP, you can check out the website heart.chop.edu.
Great. Dr. Matthew GIllespie, thank you so much for joining me today. It's really a very special thing, and it's so nice to hear that there are children's hospitals that do specialize in treatments like this, because you just never know. And it's nice to know that you can find out what's going on with your baby and your fetus when you go for your ultrasounds. And so you can take measures that are needed. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. Don't forget, follow us on social, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Passport Mommy. And you can always head to my website, passportmommy.com, for all kinds of tips and ideas and to listen to any of these shows. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great rest of the day.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson